Ladies and gentlemen, imagine a fighter so devastating, so relentless, that he's taken down UFC champions like they're nothing. Alex Pereira. The Brazilian powerhouse isn't just a fighter, he's a champion killer. From kickboxing to the octagon, he's left a trail of broken title holders in his wake. Today we're diving into every UFC champion destroyed by Pereira, in timeline order, to show you how this man became a legend. Stick around, because this story is pure chaos. Shawn Strickland, the warning shot. It all started with a fight that wasn't even for a belt. UFC 276, Shawn Strickland versus Alex Pereira, a matchup most fans saw as a stepping stone for Strickland's title ambitions. But for Pereira, it was the first strike in a long campaign of championship destruction. Strickland came in talking, mocking Pereira's lack of wrestling, calling him just another kickboxer. What he didn't realize was that Pereira had a weapon no amount of sparring could prepare him for: that left hook. Midway through round one, Strickland pressed forward, chin high, hands low, and Pereira uncorked the same thunderbolt that once sent Adesanya crashing in glory kickboxing. One shot, lights out. The world suddenly went silent, except for the sound of Pereira's walk-off. No emotion, no celebration, just a warrior who expected nothing less. Overnight, Pereira wasn't a prospect anymore. He was a middleweight assassin. That knockout didn't just end Strickland's rise, it predicted Pereira's reign. Strickland would go on to become champion a year later, but that night, Pereira reminded everyone, even the best eventually fall to Poatan. Israel Adesanya, the rivalry reborn. The rivalry between Pereira and Israel Adesanya is straight out of combat mythology. Two men born to fight each other across continents, sports, and eras. Before their UFC meeting, Pereira had already beaten Adesanya twice in kickboxing, including a brutal knockout that left Izzy unconscious on his feet. When they met at UFC 281, Adesanya was the king, undefeated at middleweight, calculating, confident, and in full control of the division. Through 4 rounds, Adesanya looked sharp, picking Pereira apart with leg kicks and slick counterstrikes. But Pereira doesn't chase points, he chases finishes. Between rounds, his coach, Glover Teixeira, told him, "You're losing, go knock him out." And in round 5, that's exactly what he did. Pereira walked Izzy down, landed a massive left hook, then unleashed a storm of uppercuts until the ref stepped in. Adesanya's reign was over, and Pereira was now UFC middleweight champion in only his 4th UFC fight. Months later, Adesanya returned at UFC 287 and finally got his revenge, knocking Pereira out cold. But even in defeat, Pereira's victory in their first MMA encounter defined an era. The night the last stylebender fell to his ultimate nemesis again. Jan Blachowicz, the weight class test. After losing the belt to Adesanya, Pereira did what few fighters dare. He moved up a division to face bigger, stronger, and more experienced opponents. His light heavyweight debut came against Jan Blachowicz at UFC 291, a former champion known for his Polish power and grappling strength. This wasn't a firefight like Pereira's past wars. It was tactical, gritty, and punishing. Jan immediately took Pereira down, testing the Brazilian's ground defense. But Pereira stayed calm, defended submissions, and kept getting back to his feet. Once standing, he punished Jan's lead leg with those trademark calf kicks that sound like gunshots. By round 3, the tide turned. Jan's movement slowed, and Pereira began dictating the fight. When the final horn sounded, it went to a split decision. But Pereira's striking volume and composure at 205 pounds made the difference. He had just beaten a former champion in a heavier division, proving that his legendary power wasn't tied to weight. It followed him wherever he went. This wasn't the explosive finish fans expected, but it was perhaps more important. It showed Pereira could go the distance, outthink a veteran, and adapt his game. It set the stage for something much bigger, a run at double champ immortality. If you're enjoying this deep dive, hit that like button. It really helps more fight fans find the channel. And if you're new here, subscribe for weekly breakdowns of the moments that shaped the octagon. Jiri Prochazka, 2 fights, 1 legacy. The light heavyweight division was in chaos when Alex Pereira and Jiri Prochazka met for the vacant title at UFC 295. Prochazka, the unpredictable samurai from the Czech Republic, was known for his wild style and unorthodox strikes. Pereira, in contrast, was pure discipline, a sniper with granite fists. From the opening bell, it was violence in motion. Jiri charged forward, spinning and swinging, but Pereira's composure was unmatched. Late in round 2, he trapped Prochazka against the cage, landed a knee, and followed with short elbows that crumbled him. Pereira became a 2-division UFC champion, just 7 fights into his UFC career. Their rematch came at UFC 303, and it was even more brutal. Pereira, now defending his belt, caught Jiri with a perfect head kick that wobbled him before finishing with punches. Back-to-back KOs over one of the most feared champions in the division. It was dominance, not coincidence. In 2 fights, Pereira had not only beaten Jiri Prochazka, he had defined him. Fans began to compare Pereira's run to legends like Daniel Cormier and Conor McGregor. But there was a difference. Pereira didn't just move up and win belts, he destroyed every man who once held them. Jamahal Hill, no break, no mercy, UFC 300. When former champ Jamahal Hill returned for UFC 300, the opening minutes looked like high-stakes chess, until a split second of confusion blew the game wide open. Hill threw a low kick that appeared to stray to the groin. Referee Herb Dean stepped in to pause the action, but Alex Pereira immediately waved him off, signaling he wanted to continue. Dean backed away, and Hill, caught between reset and engagement for a brief beat, drifted with his guard just a touch out of position. Pereira pounced. He stepped in and detonated his trademark left hook, sending Hill to the canvas. Then finished with rapid ground and pound for the stoppage at 3 minutes 14 seconds of round 1. No walk-off, no lull. Just a ruthless read of a chaotic moment and immediate violence to close the show. The sequence sparked debate afterward. Was it a low blow, then restart, or just a fleeting moment that Hill misread? Pereira later explained he waved Dean off because he didn't want a break. He felt fine and wanted to fight right then. The choice created the opening, and Poatan did what he always does when he sees daylight. End it. Title defended. Statement made. Magomed Ankalaev. Redemption, revenge, and realignment. UFC 320. By the time Alex Pereira walked out for UFC 320, there was unfinished business written all over his face. Just months earlier at UFC 313, he'd lost his light heavyweight crown to Magomed Ankalaev in a grinding 5-round decision. It wasn't his first UFC defeat, but it felt like the most human he'd ever looked. In the weeks that followed, Pereira quietly admitted he'd entered that fight hurt, battling lingering injuries that dulled his movement and robbed him of the spring in his left hand. He hadn't been himself, and he knew it. Critics said the mystique was gone, that Ankalaev's wrestling and composure had solved him. But Pereira didn't see it as a loss of power. He saw it as an unfinished chapter. So when the rematch was announced for UFC 320, there was no trash talk, no theatrics, just focus. Pereira stayed silent through fight week, training in near isolation under Glover Teixeira, sharpening that left hand into a weapon designed for a single moment of truth. Ankalaev, confident after his prior win, promised to dominate again. But this time Pereira wasn't walking in wounded. He was walking in reborn. From the opening bell, Pereira attacked differently. He chopped Ankalaev's legs early, cutting off angles, forcing the Russian to stand and trade. Then 80 seconds in, it happened. A subtle shift of weight, a faint dip, and a thunderous left hook that detonated like a bomb. Ankalaev dropped instantly. Pereira followed with a savage flurry of hammer fists until the referee pulled him away. The arena exploded. In 1 minute and 20 seconds, the balance was restored. The man who'd been outpointed months earlier now stood over the same opponent, motionless on the canvas. No celebration, no scream, just quiet redemption. Pereira had proven that when healthy and unburdened, his power is not hype or myth, it's destiny. This win wasn't just about reclaiming a belt, it was about reclaiming identity. From Strickland to Adesanya, from Blachowicz to Hill, every chapter led to this. The night Alex Pereira reminded the world that champions may lose fights, but destroyers always finish their stories in blood. The Champion Slayer. In just a few years, Alex Pereira built a legacy most fighters spend a lifetime chasing. He didn't climb divisions, he conquered them. He didn't chase fame, he hunted greatness. Every champion who stood across from him, from Adesanya to Ankalaev, eventually met the same fate, the left hand of Poatan. He's not just a 2-division champion, he's the benchmark of destruction, calm under chaos, silent before violence. Pereira embodies the kind of power you can't coach or contain. Whether he stops here or dares to step into heavyweight next, one truth remains. Alex Pereira doesn't defend titles. He ends reigns. Thanks for watching. Comment below which champion's downfall shocked you the most. And if you want more stories like this one, hit subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss the next episode of UFC Explained.